Hello my fellow haunts, and welcome back to another modded Minecraft live stream in my continuing series of working on my big ever progressing city world here, in which today I aim to do a few things in this world, so let us just get going. Jump down here. So I'm going to obviously here today I'm going to continue work on my city world here, as I have mentioned. First thing, the main thing that I would like to do here is get a automatic clay factory or machine, pardon me, going in this world, as previously shown on this channel in some live stream shorts, or in a particular live stream short. I have been developing a particular rail network which I will be implementing into this world, and to make all of the kind of districts and what have you for it, as the rail network will connect to all sorts of parts of the city. As the rail network will connect to all sorts of parts of the city, I have decided to use clay in order to act as the highways and what have you. And obviously I can colour code the clay and what have you to act as individual districts and particular sections of track and areas of the world in question. So the big thing, so I've got all of the kind of items I will need for this particular factory laid out in my notes here, so it should be fairly easy for me to make and assemble with everything I am getting here. It's going to be fully automatic, providing it has fuel, and that's one thing I'm thinking of also maybe doing in this live stream, maybe not. Possibly automating the tree farm, fully automating it, so like getting saplings into the planter automatically. But if that'll be done in this stream, I'm not 100% sure. But for priorities today, it's going to be getting blaze rods and ender chests for in this world. Let's see here. So there's going to be a bit of crafting here, but I should have everything that I need for it here. So then we do very simple and easy device to make this particular design for a clay factory that I have concocted. I'm sure other people have designed very similar ones in the past, but it's going to be one that's going to work well for me. Let's see here. And then that went a bit funny. Do that. That's my phone falling over. So today I hope to basically get going with more various things in this world, whilst talking about a few other bits and pieces that I have lined up here, and hopefully doing a fair amount in this world. So as people watching the streams in this channel for a while now, and have kept up to date with me online, I guess you could say, you will know that I'm a big fan of the paranormal and ghost stories in general. Would that be through fictitious ones? Fat fingering keys here. I'm not really a fat person at all, I'm about a skeleton in real life. That needs that. Okay, it's fine. I also need some flint here, that should be okay to get. But as people will know, I'm a big fan of the paranormal and ghost stories generally. For those that have been watching this channel. And that comes in all sorts of strands and various bits and pieces, I would have said. Let's actually get this guy going again, because I will be here for a while. So I thoroughly enjoy watching and reading ghost stories from the past. See. Whether it be fictitious ones written by authors of the past, or jeepers, there we go. So as people know, I've been a fan of ghost stories for a while, whether that be watching original ghost stories on television, through films, or reading the old paper printed versions of them by authors of the yesteryear, such as Edgar Allan Poe and M.R. James and, well, I guess H.P. Lovecraft. I haven't really read much of his, even though he was more of a kind of cosmic horror kind of person, but you get what I mean. And this kind of love and what have you kind of goes a lot of areas, I guess you could say. And I thoroughly enjoyed watching many kind of I need gold ingots as well. That's okay. And I thoroughly enjoy watching supposed real, true ghost happenings as caught by people on TV shows and YouTube. Obviously, they can all be quite dubious at times for very good and obvious reasons. But for me, at the end of the day, it's a fascination of the subject matter and the stories that are presented to us within the due course of these particular videos and stories that I would have said is what makes it so fascinating for me, the general subject matter and the overall stories, as I said. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I like and enjoy Nuke's top 5 so much, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But basically, I've been into Nuke's top 5 for a very long time, and I've even mentioned him in my documentary videos in the past. And there was one particular one called Forgotten Relics that I uploaded in 2022 that discussed Nuke's top 5 in it quite heavily. I would have said, but about 4 minutes from that particular section of that video ended up getting cut, just to help in a ways maybe trim it down, but mainly to kind of keep the pacing of the video a bit better, because the preemptive ramble that I kind of did at the start of that video would have gone on for about 10 minutes otherwise, if I hadn't cut those about 4.5 minutes out from the start of it to do with Nuke's top 5. But I've been a big fan of Nuke's top 5 for several years now, and one thing that I do in a line with my Pitch Skull Black YouTube channel is that I have a big playlist simply called Paranormal Things, which is all of the kind of supernatural and, well, ghost story type things that I watch and enjoy on YouTube. I kind of add them to that playlist, and then I also see, there they are. I watch and enjoy them on YouTube, and I also add them to that playlist, and other things that get mixed into that playlist are various episodes of old TV shows that I have enjoyed over the years, and are ones that so happen to have been uploaded to YouTube. So it's a big compendium of all of the kind of supernatural horror shows and everything like that that I have watched over time on YouTube. And obviously Nuke's top 5 comes into the fold of it quite often, because that is one of my favourite YouTube channels, as I will get into in a bit. There we go. And I need more flint, fair enough. Or, yep, flint. But basically Nuke's top 5 I've been thoroughly enjoying and watching on YouTube for many years. Then in accordance with playlists and what have you also on YouTube, I kind of have 3 levels to liking a video. If I just simply like a video and I think it's very good, I press the like button on it. And then if I think the video is great, I add it to my favourites, or favourites part 2 playlist in this case, because I believe I maxed out my first one, because I guess I've been on YouTube for that long. Need more gold here. And at one point, and I also do have a videos for which a favourite can't do justice playlist as well for me, with which a very few select Nuke's top 5 videos have appeared on there, which are all basically just videos that I think are so amazing that a simple favourite of them won't give them adequate justice, as it were. But basically I think because of a false takedown on my Pitch Skull Black channel, I wasn't allowed access to my favourites part 2 playlist for quite a long time. I think I was criticising somebody for being homophobic on YouTube or something like that, and quite rightly so. Criticism from me, that is. Because of that, I think they acted like a pussy and decided to flag that playlist and get it taken down for some reason. But what you expect from those kinds of people, they're not very intelligent homophobes. But basically until recently, when I got the playlist back, I wasn't able to access that playlist for quite some time, and I only just recently got the playlist back on YouTube, and the last Nuke's Top 5 video that I added to it, and actually the last video that I added to that playlist on the whole, was the top 10 scary videos to cry yourself to sleep to, which is the one I will be talking about in the stream here, alongside another little ghost story that I have found on YouTube. So let's see here, I've got all of those done. I now need, why is that all slow? Why is that all gone quite slow? That is weird. Don't know why my mouse has gone like that. There we go, that's done something. There we go. Let's turn that down again. Okay, maybe I just need to recalibrate, and that's what that button does on it. It's a bit weird. But I don't need very much more for this particular contraption I'm making here today. Then 2 hoppers. But obviously, since I had added it to this playlist, I obviously thought it was a very good video, and that's what it is indeed. So one thing that I found with Nuke's Top 5 over the years is that the titles to these live streams or these YouTube videos by him and what have you can be quite hit or miss. It seems sometimes he just kind of throws shit at the wall and sees what sticks in terms of his YouTube titles sometimes, which fair enough I guess, but still. So also do that. But there are kind of far worse examples of bad titles by this channel out there, but you know, it's just one title that isn't the best, but at the same time there was another video he uploaded some years ago called Top 5 Scary Videos to Cry Yourself to Sleep already anyway, so I guess the original title for this particular video he was making here in this instance was already taken, as it were. See here, then I need, this should be all okay. Where am I going? Up here. But the first of 10 clips that get displayed and showcased in this video by him here today is the Urbex Castronautica clip, which is the name of the channel the clip in question comes from, where basically they're filming in a famous cemetery in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and whilst they're filming they so happen to poke their camera into what they discover to be a vandalized crypt, and they obviously just stick the camera in there out of curiosity, and they so happen to capture this weird hand-like manifestation on camera, which you can't see very clearly, but after post-editing and what have you and brightening it, you can see it quite clearly. It's overall a very good and creepy clip with a very good premise, but it does look like one that could be easy to fake through digital editing. If it was filmed practically, however, I really doubt that somebody would stage something like this with how dangerous it is overall, with the degraded nature of the coffins present in the video. But who knows? It's overall fantastic, and really it's overall a very good and creepy way to start the stream, or to start the video, I would have said. And it really does feel like something that has come out of a movie, as it were, and reminds me a little bit of a completely different location, but reminds me a little bit of the movie As Above So Below, which was a found footage movie set in the Parisian catacombs, although it's a completely different location here. So definitely a video that could have easily been faked and what have you, but you know, it's still a very good and creepy way to start the video. Oh, hello. Is that a... saw something there. May have just seen a ghost of my own in this world. That was weird. Didn't quite know what that was. That was weird timing. Yeah, interesting first clip to start off with, and it does set up the video quite well, and it is very creepy, reminding myself of something from the likes of a found footage movie. So yeah, there is that. See, you're on this chunk here, that's fine. Could cause some problems. I may need to move this device at some point later on in the world, but it will be okay for now. Let's do this one out of birch. Have I got any more birch? So then the second clip, as shown in the video, is simply called Trapped, and it's one that I'm not going to go into at all in terms of discussion here, because as you will have seen through I'm kind of talking about and discussing these particular videos and clips here present in this video through a semi-enthusiastic paranormal fan lens and a critical lens. So as such, I won't be discussing this clip in its entirety or at all in this video here, because the nature of what this clip is and about is quite personal and what have you for the person that filmed it. So in order to try and maintain a level of being respectful, because this video is kind of in a critical lens, or this stream discussion is kind of in a semi-critical lens, I just don't want to talk about this clip here, just to try and maintain a bit of respect for the person in the video. So yeah, that's all I've got to say on that. The second or eighth clip overall in the video, and the one that I will be discussing in depth here, is simply called Motorcycle Mystery, as determined by the intertitling of Nuke's video here. So it's a simple premise where this motorcyclist is pedaling through, well, not pedaling, that's a bicycle, you numpty, is going through and on this road in the Philippines, which is notorious for serious accidents. And at one point on their journey, which has been recorded through a helmet camera, there a figure runs across the road and into their bike. The biker says they apparently had no face as well, with the face as, or what would have been a face as described by the biker, just being a dark, indistinguishable blur. Pretty sure is how it was described. And it's another video with a fantastic premise, and it does make me think of haunted stories about roads here that I have heard in the UK in the past, and does make me think of a lost piece of television that I mentioned and discussed a bit in my previous live stream, which was The Road from 1964, which was basically a period piece of ghost drama from 1964, and it showcases the people of the time period that the episode is set in, being the 1700s, investigating a supposedly haunted area of woods, only for the ending to reveal that the hauntings are an echo from the future of a busy motorway in the 1960s. But back to the Nuke's Top 5 clip. It's definitely an enjoyable and very creepy clip by them, I would have said. But again, like with a lot of these clips and what have you, it is one that could easily be faked, and it does look a little digital, but maybe that's just because of the quality of how the phantasm was captured in terms of the video, because the video quality isn't the best. But overall, another really interesting and creepy clip from this video, I would have said. And up until this point, the video has had a few great clips, and it will have many more, but the next one, called Open House, I feel is actually pretty amazing. Or rather, is the first clip of this Nuke's Top 5 video in question that I would consider as being pretty amazing. So, a realtor and redditor by the name of Sandra is making a video in a 1960s bungalow, only for paranormal things to start happening. After beginning a retake of a dialogue of herself, a portrait picture to her left darkens in the face and a door opens on its own. Gaining courage, she goes through the house, provoking the spirits to do something. A glass moves and a smoke detector goes haywire, which I'll get back to in a moment. Sandra, just looking back at the name, is apparently used to events like this happening in the house, and this is the first time where she has actually caught something paranormal wise on video. Let's actually do that. And it's overall a very interesting and fascinating clip uploaded and presented by Nuke in this particular video by him. Now, again, like with many of these clips and what have you online, I'm going to be saying that a lot in this live stream. Obviously, a lot of this, or even all of this, could very have easily been faked, But this one in particular, I would say, would have been quite difficult or near enough impossible to fake in some particular areas of it. Some of it could obviously be faked pretty easily, like the doors moving and what have you of their own accord, as seen in the video, and the portrait with its face darkening just before the door opening of its own accord could very easily have been made as a special effect digitally, and there could have very easily have been other parts of it that could have been easy to fake. The smoke detector going haywire is a very creepy and unnerving part to this particular segment, where she's in another room filming, trying to provoke the ghost to make another appearance, and as the smoke detector starts going absolutely crazy and what have you, starts beeping like mad, and when she gets to the room that it's in, she's in the doorway or at the doorway, pointing her camera in, only for the smoke detector to fall off the ceiling and what have you, like crashing down and presumably breaking, which is one clip that could very have easily been faked. Like, okay, you could have easily had somebody like hiding in this room, and all of this could have easily been scripted, and the smoke detector could have been like fitted loose, and then they end up that person in hiding in the room like pokes the smoke detector with a stick and makes it fall off or something like that. I get that being a possibility, but the thing is, like, Sandra here is a realtor by job, somebody that sells houses. Obviously they would have like a boss or something like that that would be in charge of them and in charge of their role and what have you. So if they were to, like, you know, come across Sandra and what have you, staging this video and what have you, trying to make all of this unusual stuff happen, I think she could easily lose her job and what have you over that. And I'm not quite sure why somebody would think that staging and doing something like this would be a good idea at the risk of their job, you know? Like, I just don't see why somebody would actively cause damage to a smoke detector and effectively break it, something that could very easily just be glitching out or need its battery or something with its electronics fixed, something that doesn't necessarily need to be replaced but just have a minor fix. I just don't get why somebody would break something like that at the potential risk of losing their job, you know? It just doesn't make much sense to me as to why somebody would do that and what have you, or maybe their realtor or boss or whatever is in on the job or something like that. I don't know, it's just me discussing this and theoretically speculating and discussing all of this. So there's a lot of creepy and highly unusual moments within this particular video, and a lot of it, or almost all of it, could easily be faked. Even the smoke detector one, I would have said, but as I said, I don't think, to me, why they would do it and thinking about it doesn't really make much sense to me. as I have detailed. But there is one particular detail and aspect in this video that is really unusual and creepy to me, and that is this glass ever so slightly moving. In one particular shot, Sandra makes when filming in around the house, trying to provoke the ghost or whatever to come out and cause more havoc. And to me, this is the one that makes me think, okay, this could possibly be something, because obviously a glass moving like this and what have you could very easily be faked. You know, string could be set up and what have you, and in order to make the glass move and what have you, and you know, in order to create this supposed paranormal activity for more traction and clicks on Sandra's video. Obviously, all of that is a very real possibility, and obviously is in the realms of possibility, but watching Nuke's video here a couple times in preparation for this particular live stream, I would have said that with how everything is shown in this video, it seems like that this wasn't faked, or could very easy, or if it was faked, would have been extremely difficult to orchestrate a faking of, so to speak, because with how the glass is set up and what have you, it would have been very difficult for strings to be attached to it. And then there's also the point where it's very quick, but the camera of hers pans very quickly, mind you, to the side of where the rest of the string would be, based upon the glass's direction of how it moves. And you can see no string there at all. Plus, if it was connected by string, it would have been very difficult to pull on it just right, so that it created the effect of it moving in the subtle way that it does in the video. It would have been very difficult to you know, if it was man-made, this object pulling with a string, it would have been very, very tricky to actively and do that. It would have been very tricky in order to for a human to orchestrate their force in such a way so it's so the movement of the glass is so subtle, as it were. Let's see, and that should be this device done. Let's see here. There we go. So this is one particular video that really is one of the stronger parts to this video, I would have said, mainly because of the glass aspect to it. And this looks like it's going to need a hopper, which is okay. I can easily fix that. It's okay. tum. Please no, that's fine. Go. But yeah, that's all I have to say on this clip. I think it's absolutely fantastic and very creepy and unusual kind of clip, as it were, I would have said. So then the next two clips in this video by Nuke, I'm also just going to go over fairly quickly. They are the Fond du Lac UFO number 5 and number 6, which is Flicker, as it's simply called as by Nuke and his video. So quite often with Nuke's videos and what have you, you'll get clips that aren't bad, but I think the best way to describe them is kind of filler clips to kind of get the video going for a bit longer. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but what I kind of mean overall, in terms of my overall kind of critical assessments here, and that's all working brilliant. What I kind of mean in my critical overall assessment is that you occasionally get clips that are good and enjoyable, but you don't really have a lot to say about them. They just kind of, they're good whilst they last, but they don't really have a lot to talk about afterwards, as it were. The first one, Flicker, like with the Fond du Lac UFO, is very simple by premise. So there's a security camera in a child's bedroom, baby's bedroom, and there's a TV on and it's flickering, and CCTV camera captures this kind of creepy figure sitting in a chair next to the child's cot, as it were, and it just eventually kind of slowly fades away and kind of fades out, and the clip kind of just leaves it at that and kind of ends it with just kind of presentation of whatever this creepy thing manifesting next to the child's bedroom or child's bed or whatever that and doesn't leave much of a conclusion as to what the creepy thing manifesting next to this child's bed is. Is it a YouTuber gone bad? We don't know. But yeah, generally just a really good whilst it's on, but nothing really, you know, to write home about kind of clip overall, I would have said. And the same can be said with the Fond du Lac UFO from clip 5 in this video. So it's another fairly simple video of this family driving up to a place in Canada called Fond du Lac, only for them to spot a UFO outside of their car window. And the interesting thing about this particular clip is that numerous people comment on it and what have you, saying that they have also spotted a UFO or unidentified flying object. nearby, roughly in the exact same place, quite a few times in the past. With some reports going as far back as to the 1990s by the comments present on the original upload of this clip. See here. It's time to make one of these. Oh, you want to be involved? Fantastic. But yeah, overall, what I come to for Nuke's top 5 is the kind of ghost clips, I would have said, and the kind of UFO clips and what have you. Whereas interesting, they're not my kind of forte when it comes to Nuke's top 5 and what I kind of come to his videos for. I would have said, and it's a very good clip for what it is, and it's good whilst it's on, but as I said, it is just kind of a bit of a filler clip. I would have said. Again, not a lot to say about this one. It's interesting, but as I said, I mainly enjoy the ghost clips from Nuke, I would have said, personally. Let's see. Now it's time for us to go to the Nether. In this live stream, it's time for us to try and get some blaze rods and more loot bags, as it were. Let's see. Okay. I have do. Bingo. Let's see. It's all fine. That's okay. This guy will shut off again, unfortunately, but you know, that's fine. Make sure he's not in an awkward spot when I come back. But up to this point, it's been a fairly routine, and I guess you could say standard affair for a Nuke's top 5 video, I would have said. But these last 4 clips that are present in this particular upload by him, I would say are absolutely fantastic and incredible. Oh, hello. So, clip 4, as featured in, or the next clip, which is numerically number 4, but I guess this would be the 7th clip of the video, is just simply called Follower. Hopefully I get some at some point. Is simply called Followers, is simply called Follower, and this basically showcases I believe a previously covered and shared in terms of story by Nuke on the channel before, focusing on a guy simply called Nick, who has had paranormal experiences in his home and things he simply cannot explain happen to him and what have you in his home, and with clips he has taken of said activity being shared by Nuke before on YouTube in previous videos by them. So it all started when Nick was, I believe, driving along somewhere called Dyer's Lane Road, which is in Roseville, California, which is said to be a haunted part of, or pretty haunted road. And apparently when driving down it one day, he saw a shadow figure on the road, and he's now experiencing activity in his own home after getting attacked by a ghost there. Well, that's unusual. This is most definitely unusual. Getting attacked in their home by, or more harassed than attacked by, paranormal entities in his home, since being, let's just say, visited by this shadow figure, or being witness to this shadow figure he saw on Dyer's Lane Road. Whereas not the main focus in this clip of Nuke's here today, I should be able to dig to that one tie. All quartz. There's a particularly creepy clip that Nuke features from a previous bit of coverage of Nick's story, where there's this manic kind of noise coming from his porch and what have you, which either sounds like some form of very intense hammering or basketball dribbling. Let's hope it's not that. And he opens the door, and then there is just simply nothing there. Here we are. Well, this is an interesting angle. Okay, this is workable though. Let's see here. And when he opens the door, there is just absolutely nothing there, and the noise just completely ceases. It's an extremely creepy and puzzling and scary clip overall. Let's see, how am I going to do this? So since the last kind of displaying of his story on Nuke's Top 5 on Nuke's channel, Nick has since moved house, but he believes that the entity has followed him to his new home and has been stalked by this particular entity. And the first clip within the sequence of this coverage by Nuke is is a clip of them showing their dog barking at something, and the shadow of a shelf and a shadow moving on the floor, which transpires to be a shelf that moved on its own, slightly off camera, but you can see the shadow of it moving. And the reason why they're recording is because Nick, and is the reason why they're recording is because Nick heard some kind of noise just before they pressed record, which is why they started recording in the first place, just so they can try and capture whatever it is on video, and then they in turn capture all of that activity that they proceed to capture on video, as it were. This may have been a mistake. And then Nick states that he experiences a lot of activity in his new home. And one clip shown is the camera being knocked over as he left it running whilst away. And the clip as well demonstrates that before the camera itself was knocked over, there was footsteps heard running up to the camera itself, which is really creepy and unusual. And the really unusual bit about it is that it sounded like the footsteps running up to the camera were barefooted, possibly. They don't sound like they were made with feet encased in shoes, as it were. There's not that kind of distinctive thumping noise that a person in shoes would be able to make running like that. So it's a highly unusual clip, but obviously it could have been faked, obviously, but it is a very scary and unusual clip, as I have mentioned. Then another really unusual clip and what have you, demonstrated within the kind of sequence here of covering Nick and his story here, is I believe a separate clip to that of the, yeah, it was a separate clip to that of the cabinet, and what separate clip to that of the camera being knocked over is a fridge and cabinet door adjacent to the fridge being opened. And this is another really creepy and interesting and scary clip, I would have said. And again, it looks like one that, whereas it could possibly have been faked, you never know with these kinds of clips and what have you, it does look like to me one that could have that if it was faked and made practically with the help of staging and what have you, it is definitely one that would have been very difficult to perform a faking of, because one, you cannot see any strings in the video and what have you, of like the fridge door being pulled open, or the door, the cabinet door next to it being open. And then there's also the point that the fridge is sitting on the other side of this counter, and obviously there is the possibility that somebody could have been hiding behind the let's see, where am I? There we are. I have to make an extra jump. Well, hey, hello, you were ready for me. there's obviously the possibility of this being fakes and what have you, because the cabinet door, or the fridge door I meant to say, is behind a counter, and it could very easily have been so that there was somebody hiding behind the counter and they opened the fridge door itself, which is a possibility. But at one point, shortly after the fridge door opening, it looks like it was quite forcefully closed, or fairly forcefully closed, which would have been difficult with the situation of somebody hiding in the way I just described. And then the second point to this and what have you is the fridge door itself opens towards the cabinet doors that also so happen to open on their own and what have you. And there's no visible string going in that direction, which is unusual and makes the clip a bit more believable, as it were. But again, there's no visible string or anything like that, and the cabinet door and what have you opening and what have you, or the kind of slider door opening as well, I can't see any string on that as well, which makes the clip a lot more believable, I would have said. Anything good in this? Please be. That's good, I guess. The rest of that isn't anything outstanding. Could easily melt that down for gold. Middly bag. Go. But overall, whereas there are definitely parts of all of this and what have you that could have been faked and what have you, to me it doesn't seem like that parts of it were. Obviously it could all be fakes and what have you, as all of these clips can be, but it just seems to me that in areas it would have all been quite difficult to fake and what have you, like with somebody hiding in the cabinet door and pulling string on the fridge and what have you, which I can't see any string. I just don't see that happening in this particular clip. Neither do I see any string visible at all in this particular clip, as it were. So overall, a really goosebump inducing and unnerving section with some very scary moments in it overall. For the, let's see, what would this be? The 8th clip in the video, we return to Buenos Aires again, with a clip that is just simply called Mimic, and is probably with maybe scarier than number 1, although what comes up maybe scarier than the last clip that is displayed in this particular video, but it's pretty close, I would have said. And this clip in question is quite frightening. So it's set in Buenos Aires again, this clip titled Mimic, and it sees a person by the name of Leandro, who has just moved into this new house in Buenos Aires, Argentina, or Buenos Aires, however you pronounce it. And as they move into the house, they start beginning to experience unexplainable things and what have you, such as objects mysteriously moving into the bathroom for whatever reason. And as the clip present in Nuke's top 5 progresses, it turns out that people died in a house fire in the building many years ago in the 1950s. Obviously a very long time before Leandro appears and makes his mark on this property, so to speak. So we get a bit of development there that the house has seen death in the past, and upon experiencing some supernatural activity in the place, Leandro ends up setting up a CCTV camera and in his bedroom, which is where he's been experiencing activity, and the CCTV camera captures some very unusual things in the progression of the presentation here in Nuke's top 5's video. Oh, hello. Nice of you to come along and say hello. So that's just the first thing that we get to see is doors to the bathroom opening and what have you. With it then showing that Leandro picks up a phone beside him in bed and then begins to film into the bathroom, see if he captures something, and if the next part showcased within Nuke's video is within the same scene for Leandro or not, I do not know. But one of the scariest moments of the video overall comes next. Where Leandro is filming into the bathroom and what have you, presumably from hearing some activity, whether it be what we just saw or some other activity we don't get to see in Nuke's video. There is this very weird kind of feminine crying noises you can hear in this particular clip, and you can see the camera itself is focused on this shower curtain and what have you, and you can see it being punched by something from the other side of the shower curtain, I guess in the shower tray, as it were. That was close. And as Lee goes into the shower to try and get to the bottom of it, he smacks the curtain to one side and there's nothing there. The shower curtain was being punched by an invisible force, as it were, and it's a very scary and unnerving clip overall, I would have said. And it's absolutely terrifying, I would have said, and it's definitely something out of like a horror movie kind of thing, kind of this frightened character going into a bathroom and then filming these shower curtains being punched from the other side and hearing this feminine crying. It's a very, very unnerving and scary clip, I would have said, and it's easily something I can imagine being featured in a found footage movie or something like that. Kind of thinking of the movie Get Out by James Wan from the mid 2010s. Was it by James Wan? I think it was. Oh no, not Get Out. That's the more recent horror movie by, I forget his name, Jordan Peele. It's Lights Out is the movie that I'm thinking of, which was kind of in a haunted home and what have you. I can easily imagine a clip like this being present in a movie like that. But yeah, absolutely scary and pretty terrifying clip, I would have said, but it's just the beginning, as it were, for scares in this particular video, and with Leandro here, as it were. So then after this particular incident of the shower curtain and what have you within the chronology of Nuke's video and what have you, Lee invites a friend over and the CCTV, and they're just chilling out and what have you, and it cuts to CCTV footage again of in the bedroom, and things, objects next to, I'm assuming, Leandro, if that's him, sitting on the bed, which I believe it is with how he reacts in the clip and what have you. He objects next to Leandro on a bedside bit next to him, with him lying on bed, or lying on the bed rather, kind of explode up in the air and kind of disrupts the friends and what have you having a good time, as it were, with each other, kind of chatting away merrily, as you can see them doing in that clip. But also in the background, before the items explode, as it were, you can see an apparition out of the window and what have you, and as soon as the items kind of explode off of the table and what have you, you see Leandro getting up and what have you, and he goes out the door and what have you upon noticing yet another visitation from said apparition we had just saw a few seconds ago, and seeing who the hell was it, basically. And obviously it was nobody there, I'm assuming, but obviously the clip kind of cuts out at that point. But then after this point, Leandro's friend, who is named Daniel and what have you, as is documented in the video, moves out of the country, as it's documented. And the ghost that is in his place of residence begins to mimic the voice of Daniel, and the spirit overall seems to have kind of a fascination with the bathroom. For whatever reason, a lot of the activity seems to kind of take place in there for whatever reason. Have I found pumpkins? Don't think I found pumpkins in this world yet. That's good. Same with melons. Okay, that was unusual. So Daniel has moved out of country and what have you, and then the ghost in question starts mimicking Daniel, and in a not a very creepy and scary clip as shown in Nuke's video and what have you, emanating from the bathroom again. As I said, for some reason the spirit in this case appears to have an unusual fascination with Leandro's bathroom. You can hear the voice of his friend Daniel crying and pleading for help and what have you, to let him in and what have you. But then Leandro opens the door and there's nothing there, and you can see the door handle being tugged on and what have you, and it's a very creepy and scary clip and what have you, and just kind of adds to the video and what have you. And he checks the shower and there is no cuts in the video at all from what I could see, and at the end of it the apparition makes an appearance again, and Leandro basically just decides that he can't be living here anymore and gets the hell out of there, as present at the end of the clip. But overall, an incredible section. I would have said very, very scary, I would have said, and it overall seems like something I would see in a modern horror movie, whether it be found footage or something like the likes of James Wan's Lights Out from the mid 2010s. It's an absolutely fantastic and very creepy and unsettling section within Nuke's video overall. Extremely scary, I would have said, in areas, and also very hard to fake. It's a very convincing piece of supposed real ghost activity or what have you. Whether it's fake or not, it's very convincing overall, I would have said. And then the next section, or the next clip, that was very close again. The next clip we get featured in the video is simply called Footprints. The basic overall narrative of this clip and what have you is a woman by the name of Kat wakes up to snow covering their front yard. They go outside or they wake up one morning and see that there are bare footprints on the porch and what have you. She calls the police, but they reassure her that no one has been reported as missing, lost or for trespassing, after she hypothesizes that it could be some homeless person or somebody going through some kind of mental distress. And then 2 weeks later the prints appear again with another snow layer and in a completely different spot this time as to when it happened 2 weeks prior. And in the video and what have you, it's established that Kat, I guess maybe she was inspired by what her parents christened her with in terms of name. She has been putting out food for stray cats in her local area, and I guess ones that like to venture into her garden. And that's the likeliest story overall for this particular overall segment and what have you in Nuke's top 5 in this particular Nuke's video, is that it was a homeless person scavenging for food and what have you. And not sure if I mentioned it already, but after the second occurrence and the second appearance of footprints outside of Kat's cat's front porch. She sets up a CCTV camera and the footprints no longer start appearing and what have you on her porch despite more snowfalls. So I think obviously overall this is a clip that likely is not necessarily anything to do with the paranormal and is just a very strange and creepy clip overall. And as I said, it is most likely just some homeless person scavenging for food. However, what makes this clip kind of worth mentioning and definitely worth for including in Nuke's video, I would have said, is one small detail that makes this clip very, very creepy overall, even if it is nothing to do with paranormal stuff. And see, getting close again. How have I not died once during this? It's probably jinxing it now. During one particular detail that makes this clip in question very creepy and makes it really stand out amongst this video and what have you, is a very odd and creepy detail within the first quote-unquote manifestation of these footprints, where as displayed in Kat's video, it appears that the bare footprints have 6 toes on each foot, which is extremely weird and unusual. And in the second appearance of the prints and what have you, it appears that the bare feet only have 5 toes this time. Obviously you don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure out that having 6 toes is extremely unusual and what have you, and obviously overall this is nothing that necessarily could necessarily be paranormal. Again, it could all just be to do with some homeless person scavenging for food, as I mentioned. But like, what are the chances that one, a human being to have 6 toes on each foot? 2, what are the chances for there to be that kind of person with 6 toes and for them to be a homeless person? 3, what are the chances for that particular subject or kind of individual to be in Kat's area looking for food? Like, it all, like, obviously none of it could be, I don't think this is necessarily a clip that's the paranormal and what have you, but it's just an extremely unusual and creepy concoction of unlikelihood that kind of manifests and makes itself a very creepy and unusual clip for in this video overall, I would have said. Okay. So, not necessarily anything to do with the paranormal, obviously, but definitely a clip and what have you that is extremely creepy and highly unusual, I would have said overall. And it is very strange and creepy overall, I would have said. That might be the one. And that's what I like about Nuke's videos and what have you, is that where he doesn't do it all the time and what have you. Obviously there are clips that wouldn't be to my taste, or mainly what I would look for from a Nuke's video. As I have mentioned, I would be interested in watching the ghost clips from Nuke mainly. What I like about inclusions of clips like this and what have you in Nuke's videos is that it kind of takes you back down to reality within the overall narrative of a video like this, in that it showcases and reaffirms that the forces on Earth that we cannot explain are equally as scary, if not less scary, than the human mind and what human beings can do and what certain human beings have done and have achieved through their own kind of mental degeneracy and twisted minds, you know. But yeah, overall fantastic, and another very, very creepy clip. Yes, Terrain Eater, brilliant, and I will take that Diamond Zade as well. Very creepy overall clip and what have you by Nuke, and yeah, absolutely fantastic clip as per usual for this video at this point. As I said, it's not necessarily anything to do with the paranormal, but it's just overall a fantastic and really creepy clip, I would have said. So let's head back now. So for the final clip in the Nuke's Top 5 video that I will be discussing here, it is simply called Heads Up, and features a returning protagonist, as it were, for Nuke's videos. Somebody who has had clips shared in Nuke's videos a lot in the past, and that is a Chinese ghost hunter by the name of Xiao Long. Let's see if I can... Ow. Imagine if I died to one of the ghasts but not one of the blazes. That would be weird. So Xiao Long is quite a prolific in terms of being featured in regards to the history of Nuke's Top 5's videos and what have you, and is always provides, whenever he's in a video and what have you, he always kind of provides one of the best clips in the entire video, I would have said, the one that he is featured in, and there is no difference here. So he is a Chinese live streamer, and in this particular instance of him live streaming, let's see. There we go. In this particular instance of him live streaming, he is investigating an extremely haunted school somewhere in China, I'm assuming, but I don't think it's given an exact location and what have you, which is fair enough, I guess, because I guess he could be trespassing. I don't know, don't want to point fingers at people here and say they're doing illegal things, but you know, the interesting thing that I find about Xiaolong's videos and what have you is that they are live streamed, which I find add a very particular interesting kind of edge and what have you to these kinds of videos in question and what have you, because with pre-recorded videos and what have you, there is obviously a great deal of kind of scripting and edited effects and what have you that one person can easily perform and what have you in such a video, as it were. See here, but with live streaming, that's kind of a whole kind of different story, as it were, in terms of that things here are a lot more difficult to fake and what have you, and would be far more ambitious and complicated to stage, as it were. It's all ticking away. So I feel like a live streamed paranormal kind of showcasing of events, as it were, is particularly more interesting, or can be a little more interesting in a way than regular non-recorded, in regular kind of recorded videos and what have you uploaded to YouTube that reportedly showcase paranormal events and what have you, because they would be a lot more ambitious to stage and what have you, yada yada. So that kind of adds a particular edge to Xiaolong, I would have said. Lost some notes on my phone, one moment. Okay. So Xiaolong is investigating this extremely haunted school over there in China, some location, and he starts hearing these unexplained noises and starts poking about in the school and looking for an explanation as to these noises, as it were, I would assume. So I believe it's like this, that you do one of these. Yep. And he starts poking around and what have you, and he gets something which really frightens him, but it turns out it's just this plastic head bust sitting up on a desk that so happens to be peering at him through a bathroom or a window on a door and what have you, at a point in the school. And him being him, I guess he just courageously goes in there and just kind of basically bitch slaps the head out of the way, which is just typical Xiaolong. If you have seen his videos or previous things about him in the past and what have you. Let's see here. It's the one thing I'm going to need more of, which is ender pearls. So that's going to be tricky. but he slaps the head out the way, and that's a light bit of kind of comedic relief for the video. Generally, take those actually. But then the video kind of progresses further on. There we go. Progresses further on into the showcasing of Xiaolong's adventure in this supposedly haunted school. And then we eventually get to a point where he is fiddling with a door handle, trying to get into this room and what have you that we can see. And then in there you see this ball start rolling on its own, and he notices this and is able to get into the room and what have you, and just as he typically does in his kind of I guess you could say jovial, scared ways, he basically just throws the ball out of the window and basically cusses at the spirit and what have you, as he typically does in his videos. And I've heard there is some kind of thing and what have you in terms of like spirituality and what have you to actively like swear at ghosts in China and what have you. I read that on a comment on a Nuke's Top 5 video once pertaining to a Xiaolong clip. I would need to look into that more, but I guess that would explain why he cusses and swears at ghosts so much. But then after kind of cussing and swearing at the ghost and throwing the ball out the window, these ceiling lights above him, these kind of strip tube lights, that are obviously old and broken, fall down from the ceiling and crash in front of him, scaring him greatly. Now, obviously this is a very decayed and old building he is in and what have you, so there could be a explanation through that. Now, in that it's the plaster in the ceiling giving way and what have you, and they just so happen to fall in front of him and what have you, and so happen to add a bit more to his video, which is a weird time for them to fall down, as it were. Right after that ball moves, he throws it out the window, and he cusses and swears at the ghosts. It's a bit of an unusual coincidence, I would have said, but it is indeed possible that it is just a coincidence overall. But then obviously that's all just possibility and what have you, but then in terms of how Nuke displays it all and what have you, because I believe this is just kind of highlights from this particular live stream and what have you that Xiaolong did. It cuts to this clip where the investigator slash streamer is in this classroom and what have you, with a dusty mirror on the floor, and with this kind of dusty mirror on the floor, he looks into it only to see two reflections, with another figure standing behind him, kind of menacingly in a way. And he gets scared, as you would expect, and kind of spins around and kind of looks for whatever is there and what have you. He looks again and the figure is still there. He then proceeds to kick at where the ghost would be and what have you. He proceeds to kick at where the ghost would be, and then also picks up a bit of door trimming and what have you, and kind of flaps, and I guess you could say tries to slap the ghost with it or something like that. And as he looks into the mirror again and what have you, the second reflection that he saw is now gone. And then he crouches down and shines a torch into the mirror to try and see things a bit more clearly. And then in the window reflected behind him, he sees presumably the same figure, and he again gets scared, spins around, and then this huge bulky cabinet falls right in front of him. He's frightened, runs, and ends the stream promptly thereafterwards. So overall, another very creepy and unsettling clip from the one and the only Xiao Long, who is kind of, as I said, a kind of staple within Nuke's videos. If you're a fan of Nuke's videos, you'll definitely have had experience with Xiao Long overall, as he is very prevalent in Nuke's videos, as I mentioned earlier. And along with his kind of lighter moments and what have you that are in the video, he provides some kind of lighter moments and what have you, as Xiao Long typically does. But overall, fantastic clip once again, and a very scary clip overall, I would have said. And as I mentioned, all of this could have easily been faked and what have you, but as per it being live streamed, I would have said the likelihood of it being faked and what have you is a lot lower than normal, I would have said, purely based on the very nature that it is live streamed. Because as I mentioned, it being live streamed and what have you adds to the kind of difficulty and what have you for all of this to be kind of faked and what have you. As for my kind of overall thoughts on this particular Nuke's Top 5 video, I would have said it is a typical routine of what I would consider as to be a great Nuke's Top 5 video, from the perspective of how I appreciate his videos, I would have said. Let's see. just do see, just get something here. So it's overall a typical routine of what I would consider to be a good Nuke's top 5 video from my perspective of how I appreciate and am entertained by one of his videos. I would have said there's obviously, as I mentioned, a couple clips in it and what have you that don't do a lot for me and what have you, namely the UFO clip and the mimic clip, which I just kind of described as you know, kind of filler clips but in a good way, as it were. See, but overall, obviously a lot of this could easily be explainable with fakes and what have you, but the great clips here are that, and obviously a lot of this could be easily explainable as fakes and what have you, but for me overall the clips are great and act as great ghost stories and what have you, which is what I watch Nuke's top 5s for. And overall I would have said this is just a good little collection of ghost stories and what have you. What I love about Nuke's top 5 overall, even though I take long breaks from watching him because I get distracted and busy, I would say that Nuke is one of my favourite YouTube channels personally, and what I really appreciate about their content and what have you, and their kind of anthologies, as I'll call them, that they upload. Actually, that could remain in there, actually, that one. What I love about Nuke's top 5 and what I generally really appreciate about his videos overall and what have you is that in the videos, his compilations and his kind of clips and what have you, he never gives a definitive statement as if a clip is fake or not, and I really appreciate that and enjoy that about Nuke and his content. They just leave it up to the imagination, and I feel like that a lot of people that enjoy Nuke's top 5 in the same kind of way that I do will have a similar kind of perspective and what have you of that. Just reassemble my inventory. So that's going to be that. And that's what I really like about Nuke and what have you and his videos overall. Is that he never gives a definitive statement if their content contains fakes or not, or if they are real clips and what have you. Well, I guess he wouldn't, or he couldn't anyway, because a lot of the clips are viewer submitted, but that kind of adds to my appreciation for the videos and what have you, I guess you could say, because how I enjoy them are as like little anthologies of creepy stories that I thoroughly enjoy watching overall. And despite my kind of infrequent schedule and what have you with watching Nuke's top 5s overall, I would say that he is or is one of my favourite YouTube channels overall and what have you, and is a really good and what have you kind of fix for paranormal content if I ever wanted such a kind of burst of that kind of content, as it were. Let's see here. And yeah, overall, Nuke's top 5 video here in question, which is top 10 scary videos to cry yourself to sleep to, is a fantastic slice of Nuke's top 5, and I think it's another absolutely fantastic video in his kind of growing catalogue of videos and what have you that I have fallen behind on considerably, but am catching up on, or would like to catch up on, slowly but surely, as it were. So that's the main kind of thing I wanted to talk about in this live stream and what have you. But there is one more little ghost story that I ended up watching and took notes on that I would like to discuss in this particular video. And that is from a channel which is called Curious World, who is kind of a very good example of one of those channels that uploads these kind of ghost stories and videos of the esoterical nature. That's going to be tricky. Might have to, I'll probably redesign this at some point later on in the world. But Curious World is a fantastic video, or is a fantastic channel of the kind of esoterica kind of and what have you, and basically his channel kind of runs and operates on telling weird and fantastical stories from the real world and what have you. See, that is going to be planks, oak. That's fine. And how his videos are kind of structured and what have you is that it could be, again using this term like I did with Nuke, an anthology where it showcases 3 or 5 particular stories, or with a certain theme, like haunted railways of the US, which I think is one that I would like to cover at some point, just because the subject matter it is really interesting, haunted railways, and I think it is one that I have watched before and do remember being quite good. Or like Ghost Stories of London, for example, which he has done a couple volumes of. Do that. Okay. And the kind of one that I will be focusing on here in terms of discussion with regards to Curious Worlds channel here today is a singular story video which he does now and again. This one being the Byron Street poltergeist, which I don't think I had heard of until I watched his video for discussion in a stream yesterday actually. So the overall video and what have you, at least the first section of it, summarizes the history of poltergeist stories, with him, the host and what have you, citing some popular examples of and kind of summarizing the general history of poltergeist stories and what have you, and highlights the Enfield case as a big example in the history of poltergeist stories. Let's see here. Do that. Okay. Which is a very famous case in poltergeist history and kind of paranormal things overall. And it's one that's been told and retold again many times in history since its occurrence in the 1970s, going back to James Wan here and horror movies. The story of the Enfield poltergeist and what have you made for retelling in the second Conjuring movie, for example. Let's see, let's deposit some of these in here. I need those at some point. And it was also been told a couple times in other strains of visual media, whether it be television or film, namely a TV miniseries in 2015 called The Enfield Haunting, and which was a kind of dramatized, kind of dramatic telling or retelling of the events, as it were, which is one that I shall actually get back to that, and also the Enfield Poltergeist in 2023, which was a 4-part mini-series documentary on the whole series of events and what have you. The Conjuring 2 and the Enfield Haunting I both have on disc as a part of my collection, both of which I thought were just okay. I would have said had decent moments, but were just kind of average affairs overall, I would have said. The Enfield Poltergeist documentary in 2023, the 4-part mini one, I have not seen, and I only just found out about it whenever making notes for this live stream, so maybe that is something for me to check out at some point later on down the line. But to circle back and what have you, and go back to the story in question here by Curious World, the Byron Street poltergeist. It's a cramped house on the titular Byron Street, which is a location in Glasgow, on the 17th of August 1952. There are 5 occupants total. Almost all of them shared one bedroom, except one individual who got their own, because they were the... where is it in my notes? They were the payer of the lodgings for all of the people that resided in this place and what have you at the time. And they settled down this night, and they basically began to hear scratching noises from a chest of drawers. They investigated it at the time and concluded that it was just the work of mice and what have you, and went back to sleep accordingly. But in the coming days after this kind of origin point for these hauntings and what have you, they continued and developed from scratching and knocking noises, and fully developed into loud knocking sounds, which quote unquote seem to emanate from all corners of the house. Furniture and items were thrown and or moved about, and objects reportedly levitated as well. Let's see here, quickly do this. The family thought it was necessary to call the police, and they did so. And let's see, where am I on my notes? The police were called, and the police apparently experienced activity of the poltergeist firsthand. See, namely one particular instance of this occurring was a police officer sitting on some kind of chest and being thrown off of it by some unseen force. I think it's that I'm doing. Okay, that's fine. Which was apparently sitting at the foot of the stairs and what have you. See, no, it's actually one block forward that I want to do. Go back, actually suppose... No, that's not going to matter too much anyway. See here. Bewildered, the police left, and things just continued from that point onwards, as I will get into. However, one interesting thing in the wake of the video in question here happened with a particular person with the username It's Me Whispering left a very interesting comment on the video. I would have said, actually keep that to that for now. It's fine. That's okay. Let's see. And the comment said, my grandfather was the first police officer to attend, Ronald Antwis. The section you describe about them sitting on the chest of drawers is true. The chief constable didn't believe the report and made a comment to my grandfather, "Unless my hat comes off, it's all nonsense." As he walks up the stairs, his hat came flying off. He didn't return to Byron Street. I was told the story many times as a child, and it is great that you have reported this story. To kind of interlude here, this is me making the start of my storage room, as it were. I may change this in the future, but this is just going by what I have planned in my test world. So progressing onwards more with the story of the Byron poltergeist, a medium by the name of Philip France was called in, where objects were thrown around the room he was performing in, which was a one-man seance. This seemed to do the job for 3 weeks until the activity resumed. The media and or press had caught wind of the case by the time of this against the occupants' wishes. The activity was now focused on in the family bedroom. Around 100 people had gathered outside at this time, eager to catch a glimpse of the activity on one particular night. Some were let in because of one of the occupants wanting to prove that it was all real, and some witnessed activity. Most notable out of all of these was a reverend and a member of the Society for Psychical Research that was a well-known skeptic until they stepped into the house. The figure in question performed a public, given the community circumstances at this time, an investigation, and more activity happened, including them being struck on the head by a dictionary. The drawers again, chest of drawers, started rocking again, and all of the drawers and what have you started to fly out again from what is said and documented in this video. And apparently its rocking and what have you was so severe to the point where the rocking of it upstairs caused plaster from the ceiling below in the room below it to fall, apparently. And then, as well as this, 2 young boys that were occupants were flung from their beds. Let's see here. And then, amongst other pockets of activity as displayed and what have you, and documented within the Curious World video, there were apparently strange lights seen in rooms where the documented activity and what have you took place, apparently. Orbs or will-o-wisps, as you would call them, and so those strange lights were seen and during other bits of activity, and there's also other bits that was mentioned in the video, such as a clock falling, I believe, litter bug, for example. See, I can finally plant this. Excellent. Because I will be needing spruce and what have you for builds in this world when we eventually progressed to that point. But then after the sudden death of one of the occupants, who suddenly fell from a height at the nearby / local Frog's Mouth Quarry, as it was called, the activity reportedly died down and stopped for 4 weeks. One hypothesis kind of brought forward in this video and what have you was that this was a possible instance of spiritual attachment, where the entity latched onto this individual that unfortunately passed away, and either pushed them to doing this action or caused them to do this action involuntarily. See here, how do I want to go about this? It's going to be, let's see. But after all of that, after that sudden passing, the activity reportedly stopped, and for 4 weeks reportedly stopped and or died down for 4 weeks, with no more happening. The day after the unfortunate death, the BBC set up a camera and audio recording equipment in hopes to attempt to catch something, but nothing happened. Doubt about the authenticity of the case then began to bubble after frustration led to some faking, which was witnessed by, I believe, one of the BBC individuals, I could be wrong, or personnel, rather. See, that's still going, that's fine. Which apparently is a thing that happens in poltergeist cases and what have you. See that? Where in the presence of media and what have you, the occupants of the place that are being besieged by this paranormal activity can get frustrated that nothing is happening, and in turn this leads them to deliberately fake things and to try and, you know, get a bit of buzz for the media that is filming them at the time. And the person that was doing this was caught, and that led to unfair dismissal of the whole case, apparently. I could be wrong in saying that, or it could be just something that I'm drawing up. That was said as a general point in Curious World's video, in that instances of what I have just mentioned happens a lot. And that can lead to whole cases being unfairly dismissed. I believe it was something to do with a book as documented in this case, and Curious World here brings up another parallel to the, or brings up a parallel to the Enfield case here, in that there was documentation of the little girls in that case deliberately obscuring or hiding a piece of radio equipment by one of the, or stealing slash hiding slash obscuring a piece of radio equipment by one of the investigators present, to try and create some buzz and create some activity. But apparently the individual that did this, or the perpetrator rather, went on to say that other bits and pieces of the Enfield haunting were legitimate. But overall, this is something that happens apparently often in apparent poltergeist cases, and can lead to unfair dismissals of whole cases, despite what has also been brought up about these kinds of cases and what have you. And after a carpet moved on its own in December 1952, no more cases of paranormal events occurred at Byron Street. But interestingly enough, as this all of this was going on with Byron Street, a parallel case reportedly took place at a nearby farm during the height of the activity. A farmer by the name of Harold claimed to see the ghost of their dead father, and 3 of their pigs mysteriously died with crushed windpipes. And within a couple weeks, all 53 of his pigs passed away. Let's see, what's that one down there? It's not what I'm looking for. It's probably another Dalek over there. Harold and his wife then reportedly began seeing a black mass in and outside of their home. See, and the former Harold claimed to have seen it above a bed of one of the occupants in Byron Street, and the last day they saw it and what have you was the same day that activity in the street home ceased. And the black mass in question, which had an illustration done for it, which was shown in the Curious World video, was described as a 7-foot black cloud with pronged horns. Apparently Harold set his dogs upon it, only for it to evaporate. The video concludes with a big theory on the entirety of the Byron poltergeist case. On the whole Byron poltergeist case, and outside of it potentially being forged, see, do I have any bones? Was that that was a bad thing to say with what I'm about to talk about. Why did I bring that up? Where the video basically displays a likely theory that an anxious and so after the story of the black cloud and what have you the video concludes with a theory on the whole events and what have you. Theory in question is that a anxious and likely frustrated occupant who was a young adult was fed upon by the spirit to manifest and wreak havoc, which is another parallel to the Enfield case, with it being a similar hypothesis that the ghost and what have you manifested and caused havoc based upon the I didn't get a sapling with that. Are you joking me? Great. Based upon the energy of the little girls that was present in that in those particular events. And then once the death happened and one person moved out and one person started sleeping downstairs, a lot of space was freed up and what have you in the house, in turn likely lessening the anxiety and the frustration of this particular young occupant, in turn causing, I guess, probably less energy and what spiritual energy and what have you being active and present for the ghost to manifest on. And then the activity died in turn, which is the likely explanation of the ceasing of the activity in line with this theory, with all of those changes and what have you being made. Oh, we've got some nice. See here. Overall, and to kind of conclude and what have you, this is a story and what have you with a lot to it and what have you, and there is a huge amount to unpack overall. And I couldn't possibly be able to fit and discuss all of the details within this. Well, I probably could, but without making it extra long, I wouldn't be able to do so. But overall, there is a lot of chances again for forgery, in this case to manifest and what have you, so to speak. But again, it's still a very interesting and curious story, and a great video as well that I thoroughly enjoyed watching overall. The biggest and most interesting thing I would have said overall in regards to this story is the involvement of the police within the overall narrative of the haunting and what have you. And I find it very interesting and what have you that there is apparent documentation of police officers being brought into this case and apparently experiencing things firsthand. And then again, there is that comment I highlighted earlier from somebody that commented on the video, which again I'll read. My grandfather was the first officer, police My grandfather was the first police officer to attend Ronald Antwis. The section you describe about them sitting on a chest of drawers is true. The chief constable didn't believe the report and made a comment to my grandfather, "Unless my hat comes off, it's all nonsense." As he walks up the stairs, his hat came flying off. He didn't return to Byron Street. I was told the story many times as a child, and it's great you have reported the story. It's very interesting overall for me that the police have been brought into such a story and have apparent documentation and involvement in such a story, I would have said, because with all of their training and what have you, with people like rioters and criminals and drug dealers and things like that, you would think they would be a very kind of like hardened group of individuals, as it were, and not prone to like talking nonsense and bullshit, as it were. And as it were, I just find it very interesting that the police were brought into such a case and what have you, and were apparently documented and confirmed apparently by that particular commenter, saying that they were involved in the hauntings here, as it were. Just given their background, I find it very interesting that they were talked about so heavily in this story, given their background and training, or obvious background and training. I would have said, I just find it very interesting that such people were brought into this case and were confirmed and gave and experienced so much, as it were, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But overall, a very interesting and fascinating ghost story, I would have said, and a fantastic video by Curious World, I would have said. And was a fantastic and very interesting watch overall. And as I said, overall there is a lot to unpack with this particular story. But I find it absolutely fascinating and was a very interesting ghost story to watch, and was a fantastic video overall by this uploader here, Curious World. And you are done, that is good, as I am. Right, you do go, thank you very much. But yes, overall a fantastic and very interesting and creepy video, I would have said, and one that I thoroughly enjoyed watching and made me remember how good of a channel Curious World is, as it had been a while since I had last watched a video by them. See, do this. And I would definitely think I'm gonna check out more of their videos and in turn discuss more of their videos in live streams and what have you, because this was a very interesting story overall, and definitely one that I feel like had some very interesting and adequate areas for discussion, I would have said. So I think overall, with a slightly longer runtime, that is going to conclude that live stream here today. Got a lot done in this stream here today, which I'm very happy with. The base here is progressing nicely, and I'm starting to set down my storage room, which is not going to make much sense to you guys watching here at the moment, but it will all make sense eventually once I have tons more resources and what have you. But overall, I'm very happy with the progress I made today in this live stream. I ended up getting some blaze rods and started making ender chests for in this world, which is going to be a real important part of the overall work and functionality of this technical area of the world. So overall, very happy with the progress in this particular stream, and got a lot more laid out of my base as well, as you can see, with my kind of idea and vision for it becoming a bit clearer. And maybe hopefully in the next live stream we will get a mob farm made, possibly, which will be in this corner up here. And not to mention, I got my clay factory going as well, which is also going to be very important for this world, as I detailed earlier. So for anybody watching this, and for anybody interested, I have a new Lost Media documentary coming out in a couple days, the 20th of June, with this live stream having been done on the 18th. This being on recoveries of the show Out of the Unknown, which can be found in the description of this live stream. Just click the link headed by my other two channels below and you'll find it there. The link taking you to my overall documentary series playlist, where you can find all 25 of my documentary videos in this overall series so far, which is about science fiction, supernatural horror, hauntings, a little bit of that, and lost media overall, including this most recent one that is being released on the 20th. So thank you all for watching. Like, favorite, comment, subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream, and I will see you all next time.